Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Joy. In this video, we'll be learning how to make a reversible bucket hat. So guys, grab your piece of fabric and let's get started. So I made a quick illustration of what a bucket hat looks like. It has three parts. Here is the first part, which is the crown, the one that would sit directly on your head. And then we have the middle part and then the third part. All right, so we'll be drafting each of the parts directly on my fabric. I won't be needing a pattern for this. Okay, so first I'm going to get the top part, and it's a circle. So we'll cut it using the formula for cutting a circle, which is the circumference divided by 6.28. This is how to get your radius. So you're going to measure the circumference of your head, okay, like this, and then you're going to write it down. Mine is 22. That means I'll be dividing 22 by 6.28 to get my radius. So you're going to fold your fabric into four, like you would when you're folding for a circle, like when you want to cut a flay or circle flay. So you're going to fold your fabric into two like this, and then you're going to fold it over again into four. All right, so we are cutting a circle, remember, and we use the formula for cutting a circle, which is circumference divided by 6.28. So you get the circumference of your head, measure it, and when you're measuring, don't make it so tight. Just in case you'll be wearing a wig, you'll be wearing it over a wig. Now I'm going to mark my radius. All right, so like I said, my circumference is 22. I divided it by 6.28 and I got 3.5. Now I'm folding over again because I didn't want to waste so much fabric. I'm just going to fold a little like this. And then I'm going to mark 3.5 that I got, which is my radius from that apex. Okay, you're going to mark from that apex, you're going to mark 3.5 from here. You mark 3.5 all the way round. All right, so you're going to mark your own radius. So measure the circumference of your head and divide it by 6.28, and then you're going to mark it like I am doing. Then I'm going to connect it like this, and then I'm going to be adding 1/2 inch allowance to this. We are cutting directly on the fabric, so with whatever necessary allowance you need, you're going to add it. We'll be joining it to the second part, so we need about 1/2 inch allowance to join it. So I'm going to just go ahead and mark out 1/2 inch from that marked line already. Mark 1/2 inch all the way around. That is for my joining allowance. Don't forget to add your allowances because you're cutting directly on the fabric, so you're going to just add all the necessary allowances. All right, I'm going to join it like this, and then I'll cut it off. So now this is my crown. Okay, this is the circle part, the first part, the one that is going to sit on your head. All right, I'm going to fold it back to a quarter like it was, and I'll notch these 2 points. You're notching the points that are open, okay, the sides. So I'll have notches on the 4 parts. Okay, so I'll set it aside, and then I'm going to cut the second part, which is the middle part. Now the second part is going to be like a rectangular shape, okay, or rectangle. So we are also going to use the circumference of your head. Mine is 22, right? Okay, so I'm going to measure out 22 inches length like this. I'm going to measure 22 inches, so I have about 23, 24, okay, just to be on the safe side. Then you measure about 1 inch more, okay, because we'll be adding allowance. All right, so I'm going to just open my fabric like this and then fold it into 2. you're going to fold it into two like this. So you'll be marking half of that your length. Okay, so I said I have 22. So what I'll be doing is I'll be marking half because it's on folds. Okay, and I told you it's going to have a rectangular shape, so I'll be marking 11 inches on folds. All I did, I just cut out the selvage because I won't be needing it. I just cut out the selvage there, and I'm going to mark 11 inches from the folded area. That is half of the head circumference, which is 22, right? You mark 11. Remember, this is on folds, so you mark 11 from your folded end. And then for the width, okay, that is the length of this from here to here. Okay, I'm going to be making it 3 inches. If you have a big head or a bigger head, you can do 3.5, but I have a really small head, so I'll mark 3 inches like this. And then you connect it. All right, so we have that rectangle shape. Now I'm going to add my allowances. I'm going to be joining this to the crown. I'm going to be joining it at the top and at the bottom because it's at the middle. So I'll be needing half inch on both sides. So I'll just go ahead and add 1 inch on top. Okay, so half inch for the bottom part and half inch for the top part. So you add 1 inch. This is for joining allowance, half for the bottom part and half for the top part. And then I'm going to connect it like this. Then for the side, this way is open and you'll be joining it, so you need half inch to join the both of them. So I'll just mark half inch allowance on that open end that I'll use and join it together. Then I'm going to cut this off. Please make sure you add your allowances because remember, like I said, we are drafting directly on the fabric, so you don't want to make the mistake of not adding your allowances. So now I have the second part, which is the rectangle shape part. I'll set this aside. Then the last part is this third one. Now we're going to draft, and we're going to be drafting a circle for it as well, okay, but a half circle. All right, and the formula for getting a half circle is your circumference divided by 3.14. So I folded my fabric into two and I went ahead to mark half inch on this side. Okay, and that half inch is for allowance, so mark that half inch, and then from that place that I marked the chalk, I'm going to mark my radius. So my circumference, which is 22 divided by 3.14, give me 7. So I was just marking 7 from that point all the way around. Remember that I marked half inch on the end, that is for allowance. Okay, so the length of this, I'm going to also be using 3 inches for the length. So I'll just mark 3 inches starting from my radius, that is the chalk I already marked, and mark 3 inches all the way around. Now we'll be joining the down parts and the upper parts. So I'll add half inch on the upper part to join it to the rectangular one, that is the second one. Okay, half inch on top and half inch at the down part because we'll be turning this inside. So half inch allowance at the down part to turn it in. And then I'll connect it and then cut it off. And remember, we added half inch allowance on this side. This is for joining the sides. Okay, this is why I added that half inch there, for joining the sides. So make sure you do all of this, add all your allowances, please. Okay, now I have the 3 parts right now. Okay, I have the crown, I have the middle part, and then I have this. I'll go ahead and cut this on another fabric. All right, so this is the fabric I'll be using to cut out the same shape. So you cut exactly what you have on this colored fabric that I have now, this floral one. Cut it on the stripe. Now I've cut everything exactly the same, and then I'll just fold it over like this and also make a notch like I did for the floral part. Make a notch on the stripe, and I'll go ahead and iron my interfacing on this. This is very important because it gives your fabric a weight. And then I've done all the ironing on all of the pieces. Now I'm going to get this third part, which is the half flare, and then I'm going to make a notch on the center, fold it into two and make a notch. I'll do the same thing for the stripe fabric. So whatever notch you make on, just make a notch on each of the fabrics. All right, each of the two fabrics, make a notch on the center. I also get the rectangular one, make a notch, fold it into two and make a notch on the center. This one I'm going to make a notch at the top and at the bottom because it's at the middle. All right, so we'll be joining at the top and at the bottom as well. So make your notches the top and at the bottom. So I'll go ahead and fold this into two like this and join it with half of an inch on the sides. I'll also do the same thing for this half circle. Okay, I've done that. I've stitched the sides. Okay, now I'll go ahead and join it. So the rectangular one, you're going to bring it and open it like this. You're going to open your seam here, and then you're going to get this crown, that is the circle one, and then match the one side of the notch that you made on it to the seam there. You're going to match it to the seam. Open your seam flat, please. It is necessary so that it's not going to be bulky. So match it to the seam and pin it. You'll be needing your pins for this, so get your pins. And then I'll also get the middle part that we notch. You're also going to match the notches there. Okay, and then this is what I have. I'll do the same thing for the stripe, and then I'll sew this round with half of an inch. Okay, just make sure you open your seams and match the notches. That's why I created the notches. Match this notch with the seam there, and then the other notch on the other side, you're going to match it with the one we made at the middle of the rectangular one. So now I'm going to go to my machine and join this round with half of an inch. So I've done that. I'll go ahead and notch these things, notch it so that everything lays flat. Now the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to fold this over to the right side like this. Then I'm going to be joining the third part of it, that is the last part. Make sure you open your seams. I'm going to put this one over it like this, and then I'll match the notches and then the seam. Okay, make sure you're joining the small parts of the flame, not the large parts like I showed you. Don't make that mistake. So you're going to match your seams. Please match your seams so that the seam line would stay at the same place. It will eventually become your back. Then you're going to match the notch on that side as well at the middle. I'm going to do the same thing for the stripe, and then I'll go and sew it round with 1/2 inch, and then I'm going to notch it as well after sewing. And here is what I have now. I went ahead to trim the excesses, okay. Then I'm going to put it in, wear them like this. Front must be facing front, and then the notches must match. Make sure you open your seams like I'm doing. Match the seams together, pin it up, and then I'll go to my machine and sew this with 1/2 inch all the way around. But when I'm sewing, I'm going to leave about 2 or 3 inches on some side, on this side of the seam where I'll be using to turning it inside out, okay. So leave about 2 or 3 inches. Now I've stitched on it, and see the space I left. I'm going to be using that to turn this inside out. So I'll go ahead and notch this all the way around. It's important to notch so that everything lays flat, okay. So after notching, you're going to turn this inside out using that space you created. So now I was done. Remember that place we created? I'm going to just fold it in like this, and I'm going to iron this thoroughly. If you have a tailor's ham, it makes your work easier, so you can use your tailor's ham. Iron everything flat, okay, including the inside. Turn it over and iron. Then this side that we open, I'm going to align everything well, iron it, and I'm going to be stitching that area with Then to avoid this as well, okay, I'm going to align the seam, and then I'm going to be stitching it very close to the seam there, so that everything just stays in place, okay. So that is the end, guys. This is what I have after I was done. Please, if you found this video helpful, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and then tell me what you think about the video. Thanks for watching, and see you in my next one.